Everyone, how are we all this evening? I hope we're well. How are we? Hi, Sarah. Hi, Wendy and David. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Terry. Thunderstorms. We've just had torrential rain here this evening, which was interesting. Very interesting this evening. So, how are we all this evening? I hope you're all doing really, really well, behaving yourselves, I hope. Hold on. Just trying to get myself all sorted out for this evening's tour, so bear with me a second. There we go. Got y'all. So I know who's what and who's where I'm doing what. Hi, John. Wow. Yeah, so I'm a little bit all flustered and fried. I've literally just got in the house. We're stuck in a traffic jam on the M6 for over an hour, thanks to another accident on there. Seems to be a regular occurrence for us at the moment for some reason. Not quite sure what's going on at the moment. Hi, Rosemary. I know it sounds like actually playing paddle in this at the moment, so I don't envy him at all, not at all this evening. I'd rather be at home with a glass of wine, to be perfectly honest, which I'm sure I'll be having as soon as this tour's finished this evening. So I hope we're all well. So this evening, I thought we'd do something a little bit different, and I'm going to be discussing one of the gods of Egypt that I actually been quite interested in for a little while. Because why the interest? Because living in Luxor, as I did for a long time, the cult of Amun was quite a big thing back there, with Karnak Temple being the centre of it, and all the hullabaloo that happened around that. But we'll get into that a little bit later on in the tour, of how it was all going. Hi, Judith. Can you send the thunderstorm and rain here to London? To be honest, Sarah, I think it's on the way. I do believe it is on the way. I don't think you have to wait too long, because it's actually been torrential here. It was awful here earlier, and it started when I was in Manchester earlier today, and then it's kind of like kept on going. It's just been a bit of a nightmare, really. So you'll see the buy me a coffee link below. So there you have my up and coming tours coming. I haven't got an awful lot on there at the moment because I'm in the middle of looking at what new tours I can do for us all. I had a lovely request sent to me today by one of my lovely followers on here, so I will be taking that seriously and seeing how much work is involved in getting a couple of tours for those done as well. We will keep going down the gods and goddesses route as well, because I do actually find it fascinating. But we'll see where we go from there. You're going off to Shrewsbury tomorrow, Rosemary. Amazing. Is that for one of your folk festivals, or you're just visiting Shrewsbury for the day? Or maybe for the weekend? I'm actually doing something very exciting. I say very exciting. I'm very, very nervous. I've shed a few tears about it already this week, because, it's me. As you know, I had a full hip replacement a year ago, just over a year ago now, and an awful lot of you know how I adore ultra hiking and walking up mountains and things, but since my surgery I've not actually been able to do that, or not felt I could do that. So this weekend, for the first time in a long time, I shall be attempting Snowdon, the second largest mountain in the United Kingdom. Maybe not as big as some of the other ones out there, but it's definitely big enough for me. It's 14 kilometres there and back, so that's quite a long way. Expect to do it in about 9 hours possibly, so do wish me luck for that. It will be a very big thing for me, so I'm sure a lot of tears will be shed over this next weekend, so wish me luck. Fingers crossed that it will all go well. Anyway, back to the god Amun. Now, stop me from feeling sorry for myself. Let me go to the slideshow I have got for you all. If I can, where's the thingy gone? There it is. Okay, let's go back. Sorry. So the god Amun then. Who is the god Amun? Well, god Amun, Amun became the most important god in ancient Egypt. The first mention of him was alongside the goddess Amunet in the pyramid text. He appears as a local god from the Theban region, Theban being Upper Egypt, meaning Luxor area. And he appears as a local god of the Theban region from around the 12th dynasty. Okay, so he comes in a bit later on in time, but he is there. He is head of the Theban triad, which consists of his consort, the goddess Mut, and his son, the god Khonsu. Hi, Pisa. Pisa? Hi there. I hope you're well. I recognise the name. Why do I recognise the name? I've seen you before, haven't I? On quite a few tours, I'm sure. So he was part of the Theban triad, which is actually quite an important one. Why? Because it seemed to have been the centre of ancient Egyptian religion for a little while. The Egyptians called him, and I'm probably going to mash this up, so I apologise in advance, but called him Amun, Asher Renu, or Amun, rich in names, because he had plenty of names, bless him. So what was the iconography of this god? Right, so let's go to our next picture. So we have him as a human. Okay, so we have Amun, and as you see the short skirt there, he's got the very tanned skin, or they call it red skin, but it's more of a tan skin. He's got the feathers on his head, he's got the false beard, he's holding the key of life and the waset. So there's a lot going on in this picture, isn't there? And this is actually from Karnak Temple, by the way. So you will usually see Amun in human form with the short kilt, often with a bull tail attached, which you can just about see on this photo, and a feather patterned tunic. And a double plumed crown on his head, which you can see there, the two feathers. It's been suggested that these tall feathers were a way of representing Amun as the god of wind. This hasn't been proven and is only speculation, but it would make a little bit of sense, ruffle your feathers, that kind of thing. Amun can appear, the twin feathers could also mean duality, meaning the duality between Upper and Lower Egypt. Okay. Hi, Diane, how are you? So it's the duality between Upper and Lower Egypt, because as we know, or you may not know, during history, the country was divided in two at some points in history. So having the two halves of the country actually as one would make it a lot more powerful country and more stable, which meant that there was one ruler, there wasn't two pharaohs, which happened a few times during history, there wasn't any Hyksos messing around, or any of the other invading forces that we had at the time during the Egyptian history. So it's saying we have duality, possibly that we're having duality in the country at the time. So Amun can appear with either red or a blue complexion. You mainly see the blue colouring after the end of the Amarna period. The blue seems to represent an element of the wind or air, of the primeval creativity. Also, some people say it could just mean that he's now become a god. He is the god of gods, okay? Which we'll get into his many titles of what he was a little bit later on. You can see Amun depicted standing with his left leg forward, in keeping with kingship. So if you see the pharaohs, a lot of the pharaohs' statues, they've got their arms to either sides and they've got like the left leg forward. And this is, this is saying that I am the king, I'm all powerful. That's one of the representations. So this is one way of looking at why he's got his left leg forward. Let's go to the next bit. So I've had to rob some of these photos. I do apologise because I couldn't find all my own ones. So Amun with the blue skin, we can see this here. This is mainly, as I said, after the Amarna period, but that will be lapis lazuli, possibly that they've used to paint this, which I think is beautiful. See this a lot in Karnak, Luxor, and over on the West Bank, actually, in the Medinet Habu. Don't know. Ooh. We might have a problem with the oh, I think you might have lost me there for a minute. For some reason my OBS studio disconnected, but has reconnected again, so hopefully you're all still there. Please give me a thumbs up if you are, so I know that the tour is still going on and you can still hear me, because it would be awful if you're not. As I was saying, there is a bit of a warning that there is going to be a bit of a rude bit in a minute. So hopefully you won't mind that too much. Oh, good. Perfect. It just went, I've disconnected you. I'm wondering if we do actually have a thunderstorm coming. So if I do disappear, it's possibly because we've just had a clap of thunder and everything's gone off. So please bear with me, and I'm going to do my best to work through it. Good, thank goodness. So yeah, you have him in a seated position then again, sort of like representing that he's the King of Kings, the God of Gods, that kind of thing. So that's possibly why he's like this. And next slide. Hopefully I've got them all in order. You have him with a ram's head here, okay? Very good. Well, at least he's got feathers on his head, Rosemary. You could actually, clean the ceiling with like a feather duster on there. Shouldn't really say that. Probably going to get struck by lightning now for dissing a god, but there you go. So he also it comes in the guise of a ram as well. We see this quite frequently, especially through Karnak Temple. Now, what could this mean? Well, is depicted as a ram, possibly for its procreative vigor. There you go. Said that was very daintily done. Procreative vigor. And you will see these rams leading up to the temple of his temple in Karnak. So the sphinxes, they've all got ram's heads. So that's a representation of the god Amun, with the lion body being Ra. So that means Amun-Ra, which again is a duality between north and south. So got the ram's head there. You will also see be depicted in the festival bark with the ram's head, the bow, and the prow and the stern of the boat. Okay, so I talk about the Opet festival quite a lot. So this is a picture from Karnak Temple, and you can see that the priests are holding the boat on their shoulders. The god Amun will be in the square bit in the middle, but you can also see the ram's head at the top and the front and the back of the boat, which again is, a representation of Amun himself. Now, this was a recreation. If you've not seen it, I always say to people, you must go watch it. It is the opening of the Sphinx's Avenue in Luxor. They did this a few years back. And what they did was they recreated three of the royal barks. So one for Amun, one for Mut, and one for Khonsu. And they would have been taken from Karnak Temple down the ceremonial causeway, or the Sphinx's Avenue as we affectionately call it today, to Luxor Temple, where they would have rested, and then they would have gone back, possibly sailed back to Karnak Temple down the Nile. We say down the Nile, even though it's going from south to north, because the Nile flows in the opposite direction. Okay. So this is what it would look like. They know this is what they kind of look like because of the pictures that they have depicted on the temple walls in Karnak Temple and in Luxor in some places as well. So we kind of know what the barks would have looked like, except I'm sure they didn't have wheels on there. That's where ours did. He's also represented as a Nile goose. They are called Egyptian geese today. Very rare to see an Egyptian goose in Egypt now, actually. I think I've seen them once, possibly twice on the Nile. And it wasn't in Luxor, it was towards Aswan that I saw them. I've seen a lot here. In actual fact, in Stafford, where I live now, I've seen loads of Egyptian geese, actually. So it's really, really pretty to see. But they are stunning geese. So you've got the actual bird there on the right-hand side of your screen, and on the left-hand side, that is hieroglyphics, or the depiction from one of the tombs of the Nile. We call it the Nile goose, but everywhere else in the world they call it the Egyptian goose. Okay. So as you can see, Amun has a lot of different disguises, doesn't he? I mean, he gets about a bit and he's got a lot going on. He is also known as Amun Min, which we'll get to a little bit later in the tour. I'm sure I've got a picture in there somewhere of him as Amun Min. So he had lots of different names. We've seen this, lots and lots of different names. Yeah, the Egyptian geese are very pretty birds, very pretty. So the first one, he's called the concealed god. So the Greek writer Plutarch quoted the Egyptian chronicler Manetho, stating that the name Amun meant that which is concealed or invisible. It is possible from that his original name referred to Amun as the invisible power of the wind. That's not 100%, but it is an interpretation of what that could have meant, hence with the feathers on the head. The second we have is the Amun, the creator god. Okay, so Amun, the creator god. So what does this mean? So Amun was part of now I always say this wrong, so I am going to apologise in advance. In actual fact, I'm going to spell it out for you so you know how to spell it. I'm going to do it on my phone because then I don't keep knocking my notes off. This is how it's spelt. Okay, got that? So the Ogduad. I'm sure that's not how you say it, but that's how I'm going to say it tonight. So the Ogduad. So it's like Og, and then it would be toad, but it's D. So Ogduad. They're a group of 8 primeval deities worshipped in Heliopolis. So they were really important because they were the creator gods of what we have today, or what the Egyptians believed that we have today. So Amun was worshipped as Amun Kemetef. Okay, Amun Kemetef, or Amun who has completed his moment. I don't know what that means, but you take it as it is. So Amun who has completed his moment, a creator god in the form of a snake that renewed itself. So sometimes you would see that, like, where do we see that image today? Sort of like it's like an infinity thing where the snake's eating its tail. You see that quite a lot in different symbolisms, and the ancient Egyptians had that too. And Amun was actually represented at that. Now, I did try and find the Egyptian version of it, but Google was not playing with me today, and I don't have all my books, unfortunately, here in the UK that I had in Egypt. So I've got to start restocking again, unfortunately, because I did have a great book on symbolism, and it was in there. So do have a look for that and see if you can find it. But it is a very interesting image, and also it just shows how much crossover there is between religions and their symbolism as well, which is fascinating as far as I'm concerned. So by the 18th dynasty, the Temple of Karnak was said to occupy the Mound of the Beginning. Where Amun brought the world into being, and a number of New Kingdom hymns extol Amun creating the cosmos through his thoughts. We will sort of like fast forward through Karnak Temple a little bit, and I'm going to take us to his shrine in the middle. We'll do a bit of the walk up to that bit, and then I'm going to fast forward the video again a little bit for you so we can go to the sacred lake, because the sacred lake is where they believe is as a representation of the primeval or primordial waters where the mound came up and creation started. So that's why it's so important to have a sacred lake in your temple. So the next that we have for him is So Amun, the solar god. So you do have a sun above his head here. Now, I didn't do one of the images that I could have. Oh no, what I've done, not that one, which I could have done, because what happens is he looks very much like his son, and it might get a little bit confusing. So I've kind of left that out. So, in the Book of the Dead, Amun is called eldest of the gods of the eastern sky. Okay, reflecting both his primeval character and solar associated nature. And an 18th dynasty hymn to Amun, preserved on the stela in the British Museum, refers to Amun when he rises as Horokite, directly fusing the hidden one with the visible sun. So this is when the gods get a little bit confusing, because when you go into a temple, you think, oh gosh, that's that one, and that's that one, and that's that one. But unfortunately, some of them look very similar. So the problem that you have with Amun is he can look like Horokite, or because they call him Amun Horokite. And then you have Amun Min, which is different from Min. And then you have him with the ram's head, and then he looks like his son, who is Khonsu. Khonsu is the ram-headed god. So you have to be able to read a little bit or look at the dress code that they're wearing to see the difference between the two. So it can get very confusing. I'm doing the very simple way of explaining this to you this evening with some of the images, but you can get into a bit of a deeper delve into this and really look at all the different aspects of the god. And it gets the crossover, especially as you go into later dynasties, they tend to change an awful lot then as well. Does that make sense? Has anybody got any questions so far they'd like to ask before I go into the next bit? Ask away. I hope it's is everybody understanding what I'm saying? This is that's also a good point. Has everybody got what I'm trying to tell them this evening? I hope it's all explaining okay for you. Just let me know if you have any questions, and I will try and answer them as we go along, because that makes it a bit easier than me having to go back. Oh, thank you for the hearts. No. Okay. Very quiet this evening, you lot are. Good. Yes, it makes sense. It's confusing. It is confusing, Taryn. I do try. I mean, as we go down the road of this a little bit more, I will separate it out a little bit more for you and get a little bit more in depth. But I just wanted to do a bit of an overview of it this evening, because that makes it a little bit simpler for us to go on, because there's so many gods for us to go through. There's a whole book of hundreds of gods that we can actually go into. So, and some of them will cross over with the main ones, and then we can go into why that happens a bit later on. Let's go back to our slideshow. So, avert your eyes if you are a little bit of a sensitive pickle, but this is the fertility god now we're going to. So from the 19th dynasty, Amun Kametev, meaning sorry, this makes me chuckle, meaning bull of his mother, was the epithallic form of Amun, meaning which we can see depicted on the temple walls of Luxor Temple. Thank you, Matthew. I should actually just look it up, really, shouldn't I? But but look, the Americans are saying it very different from the English. Who do I believe? I suppose we'll go with my own country. Sorry about that. I know, golly, God. I mean, it is golly. Excuse me. So depicted on the temple walls of Luxor Temple in Thebes, I've put myself right off, suggests that both that the god was self engendering, meaning he begot himself on his mother, the cow who personified the goddess of the sky and of creation, and also conveys asexual energy of the bull, which for the Egyptians was a symbol of strength and fertility. In the ithyphallic aspect, Amun was related to the fertility god Min and is sometimes called Amun Min. Okay, so this is where we get Amun Min. But you'll see that Amun Min is different, stands differently again from the way he stands at the beginning. So we have him with his left leg forward, we have him sitting down, we have him with the ram's head, we have him, now in this state, but he's more with his legs together in this one. So this is all to do with fertility. I think that's enough of that. I bet he was popular. Oh dear, that's funny. Right, carrying on. Oh, hold on, we've gone back one, sorry. See, look, you've got me all flustered now. Don't know what to do with myself. Sorry about that. Crikey. Cribbenses. Right, so the next we have is the warrior god. Okay, so the warrior god. Now this is actually Montu. Now we can see that Amun takes on aspects of the god he replaced. So we know that like Amun comes in the 19th dynasty, okay? Sorry, the 12th dynasty. I've got myself all flustered now. In the 12th dynasty. And he had to replace somebody. Now, Montu was the god of Thebes at the time. He was a warrior. A lot of the soldiers worshipped him. There is the Temple of Montu in Armont, which is just south of Luxor, not far from Luxor actually. It's where the sugarcane factory is. And Amun replaced Montu, sort of like moved him aside, and he stepped into the limelight. So this is why this is Montu in his guise. This is actually from, I think, Ramses III's bit of the Khonsu temple. I think that's where you'll find this image. But yeah, so during the Theban rulers of the 13th dynasty had made their city a rallying point against the invading Hyksos. When the Hyksos were finally driven from Egypt, it was Amun who received the credit for the military victories of the time. This can also be seen in the New Kingdom. So they've kind of like gone, yeah, Montu's great and all that, but actually we prefer Amun himself. Right. So we've got two more aspects of Amun now, and so we've got the king of the gods. So the pyramid text, which you can see here. So this is the pyramid text. Hey Noah. The pyramid text 1540 states, "You have come, O king, as the son of Geb, upon the throne of Amun, and from the middle kingdom the god was styled Lord of the thrones of the two lands of Upper and Lower Egypt." So this is what it says in the pyramid text, okay? The first known title, King of the Gods, appears in the 12th dynasty at the Whitechapel of Senwosret I at Karnak, and was used frequently after by the Ptolemaic period. Amun was directly equated with Zeus at this point, okay? Whitechapel. I'm trying to get some video actually of the open air museum in Karnak because it's absolutely beautiful there. So leave it with me. I'm still trying to get some. He's also a universal god. So unlike other deities who were taught to personify the elements, Amun was held to be the universal god who, at least in his developed theology, permitted the cosmos and permeated, the cosmos and all it contained. While a few other gods who could be said to be universal, in nature, it is the Amun that we find developed the claim. Okay, he was described as who exists in all things and the one in whom all gods are subsumed. Okay, so big for his boots, really, wasn't he? So the worship of Amun now. Okay, so we're very familiar with this lovely place here. So not much is known about the worship of Amun before the rise of the 12th dynasty, but once he was positioned as a supreme god, the monuments to him were astounding. His main cult center was in Thebes, with Karnak and Luxor temples being his main place of worship. The main temple at Karnak was called by the upper Egyptians Ipet Sut, or Ipet Sut, Sutipet, Ipet Sut, or the most select of places. And Ipet Resiet, or southern sanctuary of Luxor Temple, which was connected by the Avenue of Sphinxes, which was the processional causeway between the two temples, which is about 3 kilometers long. This causeway was used during the Apet festival, which we've seen the bark for, or the sailing boat that we saw a bit earlier on. And this was the most important of Amun's festivals, as he would see Amun leaving his sanctuary and taken to the south sanctuary to celebrate his union with the goddess Mut. He's also his son Khonsu used to make the journey too. So we have there to Luxor Temple there. So 2 very familiar places for those of you who have been on the tours with me before. Amun would also visit the west bank of Thebes, visiting temples like Dar al-Bahri and Medinat Habu. This would see the god crossing the River Nile and visiting each of these sites on his way during these different festivals. Some believe that there would have been a processional causeway to each of these sites for the god to travel on. So there's still talk, even now, that there were more Sphinxes avenues to connect all the sites together. Okay. It does seem that the Amun priesthood did gain a lot of power during this time, amassing a great wealth and power. And this is when it gets a little bit fruity, okay? So some Egyptians believe that this may have been the catalyst to the religious uprising and the creation of the Aten. Why? The story of Amenhotep III, we know that he lost his eldest son, Tutmosis IV. He died of disease, and we know that there was kind of like plagues, going around at that time that actually take Amenhotep III and his wife T at the time. Okay, a bit later on, and that's when the whole religious center of was moved from Thebes to Amarna. Okay, and we had the whole Amarna period. And then when the Amarna period stopped, it's like the Amun priesthood saw their chances to take power again, and they moved all the religious centre back to Thebes. So there was a whole thing going on at that time. And it does seem to me a little bit like the Amun priesthood had got way too much power, and the best way to take it was to take it away from them, take their power, take their funding, everything away from them, because it seemed to me that they were saying an awful lot of things, and a lot of it was not coming true or reading true with the Egyptian people, which wouldn't have gone down very well at the time. So then we have this guy here. So we know by the 21st dynasty, the god Amun is back at the top and is then merged with similar gods from Greece and was worshipped as Zeus Amun. Okay, throughout the Greek and Roman periods. So this is how he would have looked. As you can see, you've got that typical Greek god look, the Zeusy look, but he has the horns of a ram. See that? See how they've merged those two things together? So you've got Zeus's face, and then you've got Amun's ram horns there. So that's the way they've managed to merge the two gods together. Now, Amun was also well represented in spells and charms of the Egyptian magic, and seems to have been especially regarded as the god who cured eye ailments. I could probably do with his help, to be honest. His power was also evoked in spells against scorpions, crocodiles, and other dangerous creatures. So he did have an awful lot going on, did old Amun there. So I'm sure you guys all recognise this here, the wonderful temple of Karnak. And we've got our Sphinx's Avenue there that everybody knows and loves. But let's just fast forward a little bit. So this is going down into the temple. You've got the line of rams. So this, again, you've got the head of a ram and the body of a lion, which is said to be the duality between Upper and Lower Egypt. It was the way Ramses II was saying, well, this is us, I've united the country, north and south, and now not divided anymore. I've brought them together and we are one whole country. So this is what this means. So this is Amun and Ra, Amun Ra, which we know later on, which is bringing these two gods together in one, okay, with these wonderful sphinxes. Okay, let's just fast forward a little bit further. La 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 la. It's an awful lot to look at, isn't there? Actually, if we go back a little bit, yeah, we can. You can't see the images of Amun now, unfortunately. Bear with me, because I was only looking at the gods. So if we go down a bit further, we are going now to the oh, here we are. Gone a bit too quickly. So this is us going to the Holy of Holies after the obelisks. Okay. So bear with me a second while we look through these. Hold on. I do love this obelisk. It's still incredible feat of engineering that is. Think that's just one block of granite that has just been taken, just popped out of a quarry. It's quite incredible when you look at it. So right in front of us there, as we go down, we actually have the Holy of Holies. Okay, so this Holy of Holies was actually rebuilt in the Ptolemaic period, so 21st, I think the 24th dynasty, I think, if I remember rightly. So it's, on scale of things, it's relatively new, okay? But this would have been the original place for the Holy of Holies anyway, so there would have been a more ancient one on that site, but somebody's redone it. Whether it was just done in the sandstone that we see, limestone, I'm not sure. The original one, that is. And then what they've done is the Ptolemies have gone in and they've replaced it with the red granite. The red granite Holy of Holies is very, very, special because of how much work and how hard that would have been to, carve into that stone. Because, that's no easy task at all. We're going to get to see another representation of Amun in a moment. Now this is actually, it will be in a minute when I stop faffing about and go and have a look. This statue is of Tutankhamun, but he is in the guise of the god Amun. How do we know? Because he's got the double plumes above his head there. So this is how we know that he is, morphing with the god Amun. So going into the Holy of Holies then, that you'll see the stone at the back there on the floor. That would have held the statue. It would have been a wooden box with either a solid gold statue or a wooden statue with gold leaf. Unfortunately, we don't have any today to be able to say what it actually was, but that would have been the plinth, if you like, that the sacred bark would have rested on. And then we have all the offerings and prayers on the walls of this, carved in the actual red granite, which is one of the hardest stones that you could possibly work with. But look at all that. That's just incredible. So you can see the different guises of Amun there. Can you see them? It's a little bit, they're a little bit fadey, but you've got Amun Min there. You've got Amun the creator. You've got Amun the hidden one. All of them are there on that wall. Every side of Amun that you can imagine is actually represented on that wall, and you've got the pharaoh offering to all of them. Isn't that incredible? I love that. Again, all in red granite. I just think it's insanely amazing. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, please, please, please do ask, and I will do my best to answer them. I just love this temple so much. When we get out of here, then we're going to fast forward to the primeval or primordial waters, or the sacred lake in Karnak Temple, which again is very impressive, and it is one of the only complete sacred lakes left in any of the temples in Egypt today. So let's just fast forward. Wish I could walk around this temple this quickly, but I can't. It's very, very big, you know. Ooh, we're nearly there. There we go. And there we go. So this is a representation of the primordial waters, okay? And this is where the sacred mound would have come out of the water, and the creator god would have spit the seed to bring life into being. Isn't that amazing that they could think of that? Faith, hi Faith. Was the Holy of Holies before or after time, do you think? Ooh, I think it was after, actually. Can't remember what dynasty she was. Hold on. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna have to look that up. Bear with me a second. I will tell you. Hold on. Do you remember what dynasty she's from, Faith? It was actually during the reign, it was the brother of Alexander the Great that actually built the Holy of Holies in Karnak Temple. So, she would have been way before. So actually, I was wrong myself. It was actually the 4th century BC that Holy of Holies was built. So it was built by King Philip. Odysseus or something. That's quite incredible. I thought it was 24th dynasty, but I was wrong. See, self-awareness. And your lady, she was a priestess, wasn't she, Faith? Oh, he was a priest, sorry. He was a priest, high priest, so fetch water from here. He was centuries after priest. Oh, he was the third intermediate period, so he was 22nd dynasty. So yeah, he was before that particular Holy of Holies was built. So yeah, he was. He served as priest at the Great Temple of Karnak. Yeah, he was quite an important person, actually. Yeah, so he was a high priest. Yeah, so he would have been down to that sacred lake, and he would have carried water from the sacred lake to perform his holy duties. So it's quite amazing, isn't it, when you put these things together? So you see the mummies in the museums. I know we're not supposed to call them mummies anymore, but I can't ever not call them mummies because they've been mummies for as long as I've been alive. So yeah, so the mummies in the museums, you see these specific ones, and it was just like, where was I? I was in Italy, actually, and I came across, I think it was Tauseret's wet nurse, in just this little museum in Florence. And it was just incredible, the amount of, stuff that was surrounding her and all the bits and pieces. It was just insane. And then you just you go back to Egypt, and then you walk in their footsteps a little bit. It was the same as when I went to Italy, and you're walking in the footsteps of I tried to walk in the footsteps actually of Osenaway, which was Cleopatra's sister, okay, to see where she might have been held while she was in Rome before being taken to the Colosseum to be sentenced. That was quite fascinating and quite an emotional journey, actually. What are you supposed to call the mummies? Human remains, apparently. Yeah. They are human remains. They're not mummies. It's apparently that's not the politically correct word to use for them anymore. So you'll find that a lot of museums have taken the word mummy away now and replaced it with just human remains. And there's big warning signs when you go into certain museums now, which is a little bit, we've all known them as mummies for hundreds and thousands of years, so it's a bit sad. I'm going to continue to call them mummies, as that is how I know them. I totally agree with you, Sarah. Me too. They were mummified. Exactly. Don't ask me. I'm not weighing in on that debate, because all I'm saying is we're not supposed to use that word anymore. But don't ask me why. Still don't know. Doesn't make the blindest bit of sense to me. But yeah, here we are. So guys, that is it for me this evening. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me on this little journey into ancient Egypt and the god Amun. I always find these things really Viva la mummy, so good grief. As always, these tours are free to join, but if you would like to donate or leave or buy me a coffee, I should say, please do go to my Buy Me a Coffee page. There you will find a link that will take you to the Buy Me a Coffee, and you can buy me 1, 2, 3, or as many as you like. What that money does is it goes to support this channel and keeps it going, and just helps, because it's like I've spent about 4 or 5 days in between trying to do full-time job researching these topics for you. So please, if you can, I would be forever more grateful. So thank you so much. But you can also find what tours I've got coming up as well as on the events live calendar. I'm on there as well. Or you go to Facebook and go to the Travelling Blue Lotus. That is my Facebook community page there, and you can also join in there. Actually, I might post the link for you if you're not already members. Hold on, wait a minute, let me find it. I probably won't be able to find it now because I want it, which would be about right. And I've got about 5 million messages open, which is also very like me. So it's called the Travelling Blue Lotus. We have a community of nearly 500 people on there now, which is amazing. And I try and update whenever I can. And there's some interesting bits and pieces on there as well if you'd like to join. So thank you very, very much for coming with me this evening. My next tour will be next Wednesday. And we shall be talking about one of the queens of Egypt. So I do need to do some updating on there, so please ignore the Karnak and the Who Is God Amun on there at the minute. I will spend some time sorting that out tomorrow, so that you don't think I've gone mad on repeating myself. We have just had a single flash of lightning, still no rain, but will be interesting if the storm breaks to see how all the dogs react. Crikey. Well, no, Lake absolutely hates thunder and lightning. She absolutely despises it. So she will be hiding behind the sofa, possibly, poor thing, or on my knee or under the blanket with me. But I tell you now, it's very humid at the moment, isn't it? It's very, very close this evening. So I don't doubt for a second we're definitely going to have a thunderstorm this evening. So anyway, so that is it for me this evening, guys. Thank you so much for joining me as usual. It is always a pleasure to have you join, and I hope you get as excited as I do about these things. I do have some, I keep saying this week on week and I keep forgetting to do it. I do have some videos that I'm going to put up. I've been to a couple of museums in the last few months, so I will put those videos together and get them up onto YouTube so you can have a look at some of the other museums around the UK. I have a very exciting trip planned in, when am I going? End of September. I will be visiting the Berlin Museum. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do a live there. Maybe not. But we'll have to wait and see for that. I'll have to see what the status is like in the museum. It might be that you might just have to keep an eye on it. I'll tell you what day I'm going, and then I'll see when I get there what the reception's like, what the security's like if they don't mind you filming in there. And if they don't, I might just do a quick live so you can have a quick look around the museum. In any case, I will be videoing the whole museum, and you know I'll do that as much as I can. I know we can't actually get into Nefertiti and video her, so I think there's no supposed to be any filming in there, but I will film the rest of it for you, so don't you worry about that. And if I can get a sneaky one of Nefertiti, I will. But until next time, thank you so much. Wish me luck for Saturday. I'm going to try and climb that mountain, and I will let you know virtually how I get on. But until next time, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for any coffees that you're able to buy. Until next time, stay safe out there. Try and stay in the house if it's if we've got lots of thunderstorms going. And until next week, take care of yourselves. Love to all. Thanks for coming, guys. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.